Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back. So guys, as part of this session, let us see how exactly we can handle any API which is having an authorization mechanism in place. Ideally, whenever you are working on a public APIs, they don't need any authorization. But whenever you are working on any application that was developed within your org, definitely it does has an authorization mechanism. So how exactly we can deal with this authorization mechanism? In order to deal with this authorization mechanism, I'm taking Zira as an example. Okay, where in which I have created a test data in a Zira. So these are the Zira credentials that I've been using. I have uploaded a video just about this particular one, which is from my other tutorials, how exactly we can create a Zira, how exactly we can configure the Zira. All those details were covered as part of the previous lecture, which you can use it. So as of now for this lecture, I'm just having my credentials right now. And these credentials will work for just 10 to 15 days itself, the trial account. So once it is done, you can repeat the process, whatever I have explained in the previous lecture. Okay, perfectly all right. So the Zira does has a URL. It does has a username and a password as an authentication mechanism, and then the account ID, and also it is having a token. So usually, in order to access the Zira API, we need to have a token basically, which is as a kind of a password. How exactly we can handle this situation using our Playwright is the key thing. So what I'm gonna do right now is from the Zira official website itself, okay, from the Zira official website itself, I just picked a couple of APIs. Okay, I just picked a couple of APIs, just 1 second. And all those APIs does has this getting off an existing dashboard. So if you guys have some idea on Zira, basically it does has a detailed documentation in retrieving, the various API endpoints. Okay, Jira Cloud API documentation. Let us see this Jira Cloud REST API documentation. So this is what the chunk is. From here, whichever the data that you want, you can retrieve it, whether you want to get the dashboard, whether you want to get any other information, all those things. See here the dashboard. And there's a dashboard does has the various APIs. See here, get all the dashboards. So this is the curl command that they are giving. For this particular curl command, if you observe, you need to specify the URL, you need to specify the email ID, you need to specify the token, and from the token, this is what this is going to generate. So copy this curl command and put it here as part of this document itself, or in my VS code itself. Let me create a new file, Zira details.txt. Okay, um, curl command for getting all dashboards. Okay, let me update it here. So let me put it here. And on top of it, I'm just whatever my Jira credentials that I have created, I'm copying my credentials. I'm just putting my Jira credentials here for a better readability. Okay, perfectly all right. So here, as part of the curl command, they need the URL, your domain name. So this is what the URL is. Copy the URL and update the URL here. Followed by the URL, you need to specify the email ID and the API token. So this is what the email ID is. I'm copying the email ID and I'm updating the email ID, and the API token value that I have copied here, and I just placed my token. That's it. I have all the curl command. Now copy this curl command, go to your postman. Okay, so I'm going to my postman here. In the postman, you can choose an import, okay, and just paste the curl. Automatically import into this particular collection. See here, this is what the API that curl got a converted by your postman. So it is having a get. It does has an authorization mechanism, which is a basic authorization, which is accepting the username as an email ID, password as the token, whatever we have a given. As and when you hit the send button in a postman, this is what the response that it is being populated. Now we need to handle this API. So let's come back to your save this file. Let's come back to your code base, create a new program on top of it. So here I'm naming it as API example 6. Okay. Perfect. I have created this. Delete all unnecessary chunk from that. And of course, this is a get itself. This is what the get is. So now come back. This is what the URL is. Copy the URL and update the URL. Perfect. So after updating the URL, we need to pass on the authorization mechanism. Of course, the authorization mechanism will be placed as part of a header. So if at all there is a header, you can pass on your header information here itself. Okay, you can pass on your header information here itself. So here, headers. Okay, I'm defining my header. And as part of my header, what you need to pass on as part of your header, you need to pass on the authorization. And this authorization, you need to define here basic and that particular value. Okay, authorization value, which is having a username and a password. In order to define this particular authorization mechanism, we need to store your username and a password into a variable. Constant username is equal to, so what is the username value? This is the username value. Put it here. Okay. Okay. Constant username is equal to, put it here. Okay. Put it here. And at the same way, okay, let me delete this braces. Yeah, constant username and as well as a constant password is equal to, what is the password? This is the API token that you are passing as a password. Copy it and update your token here. The username and a password you have a defined here. Now you need to pass on the username and a password. So here, what I am gonna do right now is constants credentials is equal to, I'm defining my credentials, which is dollar username. Okay, dollar username followed by a colon, and here I'm defining my password. Okay, dollar username and followed by my password. And we need to convert it here. Constant base 64 is equal to, we are taking a help of a buffer from the credentials. Okay, from the credentials, what I'm gonna do right now, I'm converting these credentials to a string, and it is of a base 64 format. Okay, which is of a base 64 format. So here within this basis, the only thing that you need to pass on here is dollar, okay, dollar, open bracket, and here the base 64 you need to pass on here. That's it. This is what the authorization mechanism that you are printing down. And here console.log, and I'm just printing my response data. So guys, here what we have done right now, whatever the basic authorization, which is a username and a password, I'm just defining username colon password, and I'm converting into a base 64 format using a buffer, and I'm directly passing down that base 64 converted chunk as part of an authorization within the header as part of this particular get. So when I run this particular program right now, okay, see here the same output, whatever you are seeing as part of your postman, the same output got here as well. Okay, so this is a simple get endpoint that I have used. Additionally, you can play around with all the APIs that you have as part of this Zira documentation. But this is a basic get where in which you are using a basic authorization mechanism. Okay, perfectly all right. See you again in the next session. Thank you very much. Bye bye.